different, if I look a little different tonight, I am at the Marriott Hotel in Harborfront, LECOM, down in downtown Buffalo. I am working on the 𝐯𝐢𝐫𝐿 College commencement this year. It's a big extravaganza that they put together, and I have been hired. My part is to help them accomplish a Guinness World Record at their commencement ceremony. So I have been here since 7 o'clock this morning, and we'll be here for 7 o'clock for the next 2 or 3 days until we finish commencement. And the Marriott was kind enough to give me a room, because otherwise I would not have been able to do the podcast tonight. So thank you to the Marriott and Clarissa, who set this up for me and made this so it could happen. So anyway, welcome to the Heart and Soul Podcast, a space where words, people, and stories matter. Tonight, we are actually in on the road, Heart and Soul on the Road room. That's at Marriott in downtown Buffalo, where we are going to be joined by an amazing collective of women for discussion and reflection on the many faces of motherhood, legacy, culture, community, and love. Okay, now it's just, there we go. I just had to move my script around a little bit so I could really see it. So to get us started, I usually do some trivia, but tonight we have so much to talk about. I'm going to go right to the 3 questions. If you've not been with me before, I ask 3 questions to give you something to think about so that as we go through our podcast tonight and talk, you can contribute to the conversation. So, of course, the questions are going to be about moms. So I hope you will think about these questions for tonight's conversation, and during the podcast, add your thoughts or memories of your life as a mom or a special mother in your life. If you are a mother, what is the biggest challenge and biggest joy? And our 3rd guest has just arrived, so I'm going to let her get in for a minute. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Preeti, thank you. We're just getting started, and I'm asking, Preeti is one of our guests tonight, one of the 3 moms with us. So I'm asking 3 questions to encourage people to engage in conversation as we go through the podcast tonight. So the first one is, if you are a mother, what is the biggest challenge and or greatest joy? The second, I'm going to give you a little bit of a definition. Merriam-Webster defines mothering as caring for and nurturing someone and attending to their needs and comforts. With that in mind, who has mothered you in your life? Be it a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, a mentor, a teacher, a church mother, or someone else. And how did that work for you? How did they show up for you? And third, what is a key life lesson you learned from your mother or a woman who supported you like a mother? So just some food for thought to get you thinking about what you might want to contribute to the Heart and Soul conversation tonight, because after all, that's why we're here. Not to one way, it's supposed to be a good conversation among all of us. So our first segment tonight is based on mothers in differential culture and parenting stages. And so we have Preeti and Govindaraj.
Yeah, Govindaraj. Great, but you did a great job.
Govindaraj, you are so kind, because I am so Irish. I have no idea what this is, but I'm trying. She is
amazing.
She is a woman from whose heritage comes from Bangalore, India, and she is her parents were born there, but she was born here in the United States. She is the mother of 2 teenage daughters, ages 14 and 15. And the other mom in this segment of the program is Lisa Napier. She is an African-American woman and the mom of 2 adult sons. And in full disclosure, she is a friend. So I'm very grateful for both you ladies tonight. And so our focus in this part is about motherhood through culture, identity, and stages of life. So Preeti, I'd like to start with you, if that's okay. You, at young ages, your daughter's teachers told you that both your girls are gifted with perfect pitch and extraordinary memories, which had to be so, I don't know, maybe exciting, maybe overwhelming. That's a lot to hear right away. But that combined with their passion for music has put them and you on an unusual educational and life path. Would you tell us a bit about this and how you are changing your life to help your girls achieve what they want?
Oh, that's so kind of you. So it actually ties back to the other thing that you mentioned too, which are, people that you find who act as mothers and mentors. And certainly their first teachers served as mothers and mentors to me too. At first it's all really cute, right? I mean, they used to hear these pitches either on the piano, or they would hear airport bells, or, even a vacuum cleaner buzz, and they could say it was an F sharp or a D flat, or, something like that. And it was just fun and games. And their teachers noticed this and picked it up too, and told us this. And so they took the children very seriously. Well, whatever, perfect pitch, memory gifts, there were, the utility of that ran out very quickly, because then at some point it became all about the work. And the process of developing into your best musicianship is just a long process. And it requires a daily consistency, a very close attention to details to work exactly the way that your teachers ask. And perfect pitch has nothing to do with that. So we saw over the course of 5 years, just steady, gradual development. And the guidance from the teachers was 100% responsible for that, because they knew exactly what to ask so that they could progress to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing.
So can I just ask you a quick question? When you say teachers, were these solely music teachers, or were they across a broader spectrum?
Yes. Well, my children were in normal elementary school, so they had normal, teachers through their public schools as well. But their musical guides were from the Eastman Pre-College. So my older one, who's a pianist, had Harriet Zimmerman for the first several years of her development. My younger one, a violinist, had Janet Milnes for her first several years. And these are the people who are responsible for inspiring the children to then apply themselves towards the musical arts. So when they were about 9 and 10, they took a very serious decision to invest a lot more time and energy into their musical arts. They were supported by their pre-college teachers. And at this point, as they were transitioning to their next phase teachers, the daily training expanded to 5 hours a day. And this was
just with music.
Just with music, and which we thought was crazy, but that's what it takes. And we were making this drive to Rochester once a week from Buffalo. So this is a 60-mile each way trip, just for these lessons. And that had to be expanded to twice a week. And so between the daily training and then driving them to lessons, and then also driving them sometimes a third time a week for their chamber music classes or for their recitals, someone just had to be there. And so it was actually the pre-college teachers who very gently suggested that we consider homeschooling. And this was the year that COVID had happened. So my husband and I were very particular that the kids go back to school, because schools were reopening and they should be with everybody. But the kids persisted in asking throughout this year. And so we gave it a try the next year. And looking back, that was probably the best decision we could have made. I've since taken a sabbatical from work. But I've been happy.
So let's wait. So there's just a lot of story here. So let's back up. When you say homeschooling, you're doing the homeschooling?
Yeah. So for the first 2.5, maybe 3 years, I did. And my background in literature and history and mathematics, was very helpful. Can
we define your career? So we understand, how do you have this background and all those things? What is it you have done as a career, or as a person?
So my field of research is the literary arts. And so looking at works of fiction, American fiction, British fiction, and works of nonfiction, and extrapolating the practical value of these works of literature for the benefit of a general public. So that was my work. So then when it came time to homeschooling, I was lucky that I could transfer so much of that, to the children. So that's how we made that transition work. Since subsequently now, they both take a mix of college classes, and they do part homeschooling. And this is to be able to finish some of high school and college at the same time. So when they are of college age, they have some flexibility.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you're there, I can't see everybody, but anybody that has a question, please feel free to just take off your speaker, turn your sound on and ask away, because I have a bajillion of them and I don't want to monopolize the conversation. But I want to go back to you, Preeti, talking about, I understand that you had the ability to teach, you had enough education that you could get your girls to a certain level, and then you've moved on. But what about your life in that time? Like what happened to you?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's a great question. I mean, everything has to be on hold, right? Be it to be able to help them and to support them. And I think that comes back to one of the questions you asked earlier, right? Which is, what happens when, when mothers give like this, and what is that feeling like, right? And it is extremely rewarding because you don't expect anything in return. And when you're in a position and you're fortunate enough to be able to just give freely without any expectation, it is fun to just sit back and enjoy it. So I've been so lucky to do that.
Now that the teachers are taking over more and more, are you, in my words, you being left in the dust? Like, are they even looking back at you, the girls, because they need more and these professors are going to give it to them? Where is your place now as this evolves?
Oh, that's a great question. So actually the work only gets more intense. So because as their daily training expanded to, 5 hours a day, there's more notes you have to take, more things you have to pay attention to, and then more that you have to do on your own as well. So, oftentimes, I'll sit with one of the kids and we'll analyze musical scores, we'll listen to different recordings. So there's a lot of work that still has to be done. And then the academic side, they're still doing some homeschooling, right? So, and then helping them with the college classes, that's always an ongoing process also. So there's always work to do. And that's the joke and the motto in our household.
There's always work to do. Yeah. So are the girls, were the girls always on the same page together? Did both of them want to do this to this extent? Because this is intense, what these girls are doing. And it's a different path than most people their age. So did one push the other? Did they both want to do it? Like, how did that work with them?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Christina. So, of course, when you're between ages 5 and 9, you change your mind a billion times, right, about what you want to be when you grow up. And that happened. And then suddenly they both almost simultaneously came to this decision. And then we said, well, they could change their minds 100 times again. And once in a while, they will come to meet people in different interesting fields and say, geez, that sounds like fun. Like maybe we could do that too. So right now they seem to be on this path. But, the great thing about applying oneself towards the fine arts is you cultivate a sense of discipline and dedication and follow through that you can transfer to any career path that you choose later. And it only helps you. So we don't know, right, what they might do one day and if they might diverge in their interests or their career paths, but they would have been served well, right, in this time.
Do they have an end goal at this point that they're espousing, that they're actually saying out loud?
So right now it seems to be musical performance. So they are considered, young artists, and duo collaborators, solo artists. So that is the goal that they have decided to apply themselves towards. One never knows, right? As one exits the teen years and comes into the 20s and the 30s. I mean, we meet amazing musicians all the time who had great thriving careers for 20, 30 years. And then a life change, prompted them to go in a different direction.
Right.
So, I mean, time will tell, but this is right now what they say.
Well, I think you sound like a very generous woman, giving of yourself so freely and without looking back or looking sideways at maybe what isn't there for you. But I think it sounds as if you made the choice freely and you're good with it. There's no regrets here for you. You're good with it.
Oh, that's another really great question. Yeah, I mean, I think one has to be, right. But I will say that there was something that really helped. So these news programs sometimes do, they feature women 50 over 50, right? 60 over 60, right? And I used to watch these thinking a lot of those women, either took a break from their careers or they didn't even come into their careers until much later. So they gave a lot of time at home to the young ones when they were needed. And then they were lucky enough to be able to come back. And then I would meet people every day who were in that position too. So I figured if other people could do it, then maybe I could too. So that was also helpful to keep in mind.
So I know you have to go and we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we close the circle on our conversation of the meaningful your time with us. And for me, it's about your culture and where you came from, because I'm a storyteller, and from my way of thinking, I spend a lot of times with my kids and my grandkids telling them about the generations before me and who I am and where I came from, because in my mind, that's the only way they ever know who they are, right? Where they came from. But our country these days is tough when it comes to cultures that are not right down the white milk toast lane. And so your parents were born in India, you were born here, but you certainly were raised in a family of that culture. Is raising your children in a country and culture different from your parents and their family impact you anyway in the way you are parenting them? Or does it impact the way that your parents try to give them information about who they are and where they come from?
Yeah, that's a super great question. And, so my husband is Italian and German, and I think he's partly Irish, like, you're of course more so. Yeah. So they have a very interesting mixed heritage background. And from both sides of the family, all the grandparents are quite interested in tracing roots and, things like that. So, I had the great fortune of spending a lot of my childhood in India. And so, I'm always hearing the language. I still speak the language, very connected with the larger family circles. And we still go back and revisit. So the children have been also extremely fortunate in that they could go back and visit their families. So they've grown up with this context of having a multi-heritage background. And I don't know to the extent that my parents were necessarily influenced by raising children here, other than maybe there were things that seemed very new, because we used to do things here growing up that maybe they didn't do, or they would do things that, we wouldn't necessarily do. So just a simple example, I know my parents would leave early in the morning. They'd be out playing in the fields with all the other kids, and they wouldn't necessarily come back until, really late at night, right? And no one really knew where the children were all day. Right. So that's just how the culture was. Here, we were out playing too, but someone would come out and check on us. Right. Or we would go back and, kind of check in on ourselves too. So I think that might have been an interesting, difference, to them. And then as far as raising now their own grandchildren, here in this culture, I think after having the experience of raising their own children and seeing that possibilities can be very different, they have now applied this to the grandchildren, I would say even more so,
Wow.
everything goes. You just go with the flow.
Wow, that's amazing. So your family is very open and
Very open.
welcoming, and that's great. Well, I'm so grateful that you came tonight. I'm fascinated by the story of your children and how you are so freely and openly giving of yourself to allow them or have the ability to do what they're going to do. And who knows where, like you say, they may end up just teaching their own children how to play the piano, or they may be playing at Carnegie Hall. It remains to be seen, but you certainly are making an impact on their lives and giving them a wonderful opportunity to learn those things. So I admire you for that. And I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great Mother's Day. And thanks for this amazing work. The stories that you assemble, they're of immense value to our society. So thank you.
You're very kind. Thank you. And you're welcome to stay. I know you have to go, but stay as long as you like.
I will. And if I jump out, when someone else is speaking, it's not because I didn't like anything. I have to run. That's all. But thank you.
You're welcome. So our second mom in this grouping is my friend, Lisa Napier. And we have been through 3 different variations of what we are going to talk about tonight, because she is kind and patient, and she just picks up the phone and says, sure, that'll be fine, and makes me feel like I'm doing a good job. But this morning, as I was getting ready to come down to Harbor Center, I started thinking about an interview I did with an African-American woman who's a doctor, and she has 2 daughters, and then she has a son who is her youngest. And she told the story about how when the George Floyd murder happened, and how for the next series of years, really, every time her son walks out the door, she's worried that he won't come back. And I thought to myself, I have a son, and I've never had that worry in my life, and I don't know what I would do if I did. And so I called Lisa this morning and I said, would you be willing to talk about this? And she said, absolutely. Our family talks about it all the time. So Lisa Napier, I would like for you to talk to us about how you've raised your sons as Black men, African American men in this society where there is can be a target on them, and how you manage that as a mom.
Well, oh wow. First of
Yeah.
all, being that I have to follow Supermom there, I'm going to do the best I can.
Don't sell yourself short. You are super mom as well.
I'm very impressed. But as far as the boys are concerned, it's always been a concern. It was well before George Floyd. I come from a background where kind of at the cusp where I saw intense racism growing up and experienced it and watched my brother, be mercilessly, you know, beaten just for no apparent reason by the police for just walking in a neighborhood that he shouldn't have been in. So I've always been very, very aware that we have to be extra cautious. And the way I raise my boys is no matter what the circumstance, if the police were to pull you over, always remain respectful, always answer the questions, always keep your hands present, things of that nature where that's something you may not think about when you go into a store. Keep your hands in your pockets until you're ready to make a purchase because you're likely to be followed. So there's so many like microaggressions and things that are just very blaring that I've kind of raised my boys to be conscious of. And they're very nice young men and have not had any trouble, but just wanting them to understand that there are people out there who may look at them as a threat, with their tone of voice or movement or an action, and to always be aware of that.
Lisa, do they think that way, or are you teaching them that? And I don't mean that as an insult, but I'm trying to understand in their everyday world, do they feel that themselves? Do you know?
Well, initially when they were younger and you start, instilling these messages into them, they didn't see it. And, we always were appropriate for their age. So we never, trying to scare them with, the fear of, being, abused or anything by society or the police or what have you. But as they grew up, they also started having little situations in their life in high school and elementary school, in college, and as adults, little things, and not nearly what we went through when we were growing up, but they start to begin to see um, some of the movements that they may not have been aware of or when they were younger, and the things that we taught them kind of came to, I don't want to say to fruition, but they started to see it and to understand it better.
So I can't imagine if I literally, when you send your son out the door and you're like, be careful. And every mother says that, be careful, drive safe, blah, 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 all those platitudes that the kid just goes, yeah, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you tell your sons, it's a whole different level of right. truth and honesty of what could really happen. Like your son might not come home and your boys are tall, they're good size. And so that could be intimidating. You know what I mean? And so you can't prevent it from happening. All you can do is advise them. But at the same time, I don't know. I would have a hard time sleeping. Like I'd be a worrywart about this. It would be hard.
You have to have faith as well. So I believe in something higher that is protecting them. And, I believe in God. So I believe that, that they are watched over. But at the same time, they have a responsibility to be aware of their surroundings as well. But you can't dwell and you can't live a life of fear. You can just do whatever you can to guide them, to be good men, to be great, friends and sons and employees and, individuals in the community. And all you can do is your best, hope for the best, and just believe God will take care of them.
So if you were to give mothers, African American, any mother really, advice about how you have managed this to make it so that it's a message that your children hear, but that it doesn't become oppressive to their lives? Where is that balance?
Well, like I said, I believe you approach it according to their age. Um, you know, and I think this is mostly part of our culture. This is something that we've all navigated. We've been taught by our parents. Our parents were taught by their parents. So I don't know if it's a conversation that, it's not necessarily something that we have to talk about with friends or family or give advice. It's almost inherent. You know what to do. You know what you need to tell your kids, and show your kids to protect them and to lead healthy lifestyles. Um, and so I'm not quite sure how to answer that.
Well, let me ask you this then. Maybe it might be my question. It might not be your answer, but so the African American community has traditions, cultural traditions, practices, just like like the Irish, like the Polish, like whatever, we all have our ethnic traditions. Do you worry in any way, or do you hold yourself back from encouraging them to, and the things I think about are clothing, and hairstyles that are particularly tribal in a way, that would be African American cultural related, because it could put them in a bad spot when they go out in the greater world?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I come from the school, do you be who you are and stand up for who you are and what you believe in. Never, shun or shy away from your culture, your heritage. I grew up in a culture where we weren't allowed to wear our hair the way I'm wearing it now. Like I couldn't go to school with my hair like this. They would send me home if we wore
You're
it natural.
kidding.
No, yeah, yeah, or braids in your hair or an afro. We weren't allowed to wear our hair that way. And so now that society has opened up somewhat, if there were any type of, African print clothing or jewelry or a hairstyle, I wholeheartedly encourage it and dare someone to challenge it and have
Yeah.
taught them how to stand up and represent themselves and their culture. But to do it in a way, I guess, that's not super intimidating or argumentative, but just standing up for who you are and standing with confidence.
Okay, so we've had two amazing mothers talking about how totally different ways that they are fulfilling, doing what they need to do to help their children grow and be strong and healthy and good lives. I want to make sure that if anybody has any questions of Lisa, I think Prathi is gone, but if you have any questions of Lisa, please feel free to turn on your mic and ask away. She's great, and she'd be happy to answer anything you might want to know.
I'm still here, but I just wanted to say, I think, what Lisa's experiences are, most of us can't possibly imagine, right? And relate to. So, it is so interesting, but also so valuable to hear, and everybody should be hearing.
Yeah, I remember the first time an African American woman told me that about how her fear when her son walks, because her son is 6'2", and he was 6'2" when he was 14. So when he walked out the door, people who didn't know him saw a man, a black man, not a 14-year-old boy. And she said it made me afraid every single time he walked out the door, and I couldn't understand that. I couldn't process that. I couldn't imagine having to worry about my child every time they walked out the door because of the color of their skin, because of nothing else but that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, then I have questions. Prathi, since you're still here. So I have questions for you two mothers, because you are kind of our guinea pig mothers of, kids in teenage years and grown up. What has motherhood demanded from you, and what has it given to you? So Lisa, you're on camera in front of me, so let's start with you.
Um, whew. What it's demanded from me, I think, is compromise and understanding that, although these boys have been raised in the same home, with the same values, that they are their own separate, unique individuals, and to understand it and to respect that and to raise them as individuals and not as a collective. Like, this is what we like, this is what we do, and I expect it from you. So kind of compromising in the way that we've raised them and approached them, but always be present.
And what has motherhood given to you?
Oh, well, I can say it fills my cup. You know, these boys, up until, um, me and my husband were childless for 10 years prior, and by choice, before we started our family. And I didn't know what fulfillment felt like until the boys came into my life. They absolutely give me purpose. They looking at them and watching them grow and mature and flourish into their careers and things that they're doing. It just brings me just such incredible joy just watching who they are and who they've become. And that's the only way that they I don't always say they complete me because I have an incredible husband too, but I am just very fulfilled being their mom.
That's awesome. And this must be a good night because they're not, didn't hear anything bad about the boys.
Yeah, tonight.
Right. It's a good night. And Prathi, are you still with us? Can
I
you
am.
answer? What has motherhood demanded from you?
A reorganization of priorities. And so, prior to children, I'm sure everybody can relate. You're on your own schedule. You do things when you want to do them, right? And then, babies come and then they grow into children and suddenly you're on somebody else's schedule, somebody else's hourly, timetable, right? And so a reorganization of priorities. But it has given me a really good sense of patience because all these things require just letting things happen as they might, right? I mean, children will, they're even things like physical milestones, right? Being able to crawl and being able to stand and walk, it all happens when it's supposed to happen, when it's meant to happen. Intellectual development, emotional development, right? All of these things happen in their due course. And our job is to just sit and enjoy it and let things happen. And not try to push or not try to overly guide or anything like that. So the patience part has been really fun.
Fun. You're really interesting. I don't know that I'd use the word fun about having patience, but okay. All right, ladies, thank you. This and everybody who's here tonight, you're just gonna, I hope you're enjoying this because we are definitely gonna run long because these women are remarkable and the stories they have to tell. Thank you, Prathi, and thank you, Lisa. And please, if you can stay with us, because I'm about to introduce you to a remarkable mother from Colorado. She lives out in Colorado and her daughter, Holly. Eileen Forlenza is our second guest and she has her daughter, Holly, with her. I'm going to let her tell you about Holly, but I will tell you, Eileen, if you know me at all, my Crown Hill home that I lived in for so many years, Eileen's grandparents were the ones who owned it when my first husband and I tried to buy it in 1979. And so then the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the couple that we tried to buy it from and didn't get it done came back to my farm twice in the 20 years I lived there for a reunion. And there were 10 children that lived in the house with Eileen's grandparents. And then one of those ended up being her mom, and the family went on and on and on. But when they came for their reunion, they came in tour buses because there were over 100 of them. And so this family is remarkable and amazing, and I admire them in so many ways. I'm an only child, and I can't even begin to fathom how they function, and they do it so beautifully. So I want to welcome Eileen and her daughter, Holly. Thank you for being with us tonight. And Eileen, I don't know where you want to start. If you want to talk much about the generational connection, starting with your grandmother back in the beginning of the 20th century through to your daughter now having her own children, or if we would just want to move into Holly, I'm going to leave that up to you.
All right. Well, we are very honored to be here. And thank you so much for the opportunity to kind of pivot and go with the flow. So I also want to welcome, I see that one of my sisters is on the call, Mary Jo.
I did see that too.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
So I think for the purposes of this presentation, first, I want to just start by introducing my daughter, Holly. She's been listening. I don't know how you all set your settings, but Holly's been very intent on listening to the speaker. Holly identifies as a woman living with autism, and she's a nonverbal. She's a non-speaking person with autism is how her community chooses to be identified. And we've had quite a story and quite a journey, and part of that I'll be getting to, but I want to set the context of the family that Holly comes from, which I think is really the purpose of this meeting, and especially this conversation around the legacy of women and the legacy of what we can learn from our ancestors. So I just want to normalize a little bit. Holly coming in and out is because she's really listening, and she noticed, Lisa, when you were talking, so Holly can communicate by just pecking along on a keyboard, and it's not connected to anything right now because it's too much for me to manage. So I just follow. So she has something to say. So I'm going to pause and let her type something. Hi, everyone. It's a joy. It's a joy, period. So
Thank you, Holly. We're glad to have you.
Holly started typing when she was about 22 years old, which was about 15 years ago. And when she started typing, her superpowers are spirituality and love. And she senses a deep sense of purpose and love with people that she meets, and she's able to communicate it. She also has, she lives with a very serious seizure disorder. She has a very irretractable epilepsy diagnosis, and she needs a lot of touch on her head because her head hurts a lot. She's having seizures the whole time we're talking tonight. So some of that pause is she's asking me to please just rub her head because her head hurts when she has seizures. Holly and I share our story across the country. We're motivational speakers. We do workshops all around the country. So nothing is off limits in terms of questions if you have anything you would like to ask. But the conversation today was so fun because Christina gave us the opportunity to kind of give the bigger context of our family. So if I can share my screen, I have a few pictures I can share with you. All right, so 100 years ago, 101 years ago, my grandmother, Mary Mulherin, who is a direct descendant immigrant from Ireland, she married Clem Crow in 1924. They had 10 children, and these are the 10 children that Christina was mentioning that lived at the farm. My grandfather Clem, my grandmother Mary had 10 children, and my grandfather was a coach for the Buffalo Bills, which is what brought them from Ohio to Buffalo. So because he was a college and professional coach. My mother is the loud and proud in the middle, and there were 10 that lived there in Buffalo for many years. My grandmother, I do want to say, before she married Clem, let me just show you this. She went to Purdue University, and she was the president of the Women's Athletic Association. And I think that that's critical because at that time, she was actually double degreed in physics and math, very scientific, and yet had a strong sense of purpose when it came to being an athlete and the joys that sports and athletics give us. Even though she was mothering 10 children, she stayed involved. And this is one of the pieces that I'd love to highlight about our culture of our family, is she was very, very involved with civic issues, always adding her time and resources and gifts to the issues of social justice of the time. At the time, though, however, this was in the mid-70s, she was selected as the Woman of the Year by the state of New York, and she was nominated and chosen by the Republican Party, although she had identified as a Democrat, which again, in today's world and the pride that I have around this sense of inclusion and what that culture of their family taught us was about acceptance and loving all people. So their descendants have come to this. This is the reunion that Christina mentioned. This was just this last summer. Every 3 years, my cousins and I, all of us and our children, we get together in a different city. And this was just last year in Portland, Oregon. So these are the descendants of Clem and Mary Crow. My mom is the only living sibling. My mom passed 2 years ago, and she only has one living sibling. So this picture identifies that even though the elders are gone, we continue to meet. This is my mom here, and just a snapshot of us. She had 9 children. I am number 8. My sister Mary Jo, who's on the call, is number 3. And we have a very, very, very close-knit family and continue to be together and share life together in all of its moments. And so these are just my mom and dad's descendants as of last summer at the reunion. And our siblings, again, this is all 9 of us together, and we continue to be together and do life together.
Oh.
And then I shift to Holly. Part of my life involves the advocacy, the civic engagement that Holly has brought to me. This is Holly as an infant when she was identified very early on with her epilepsy. We knew right away that something was wrong, quote unquote, but we didn't have an idea exactly what was going to happen. And Holly, I have 4 children. Holly is my second oldest, and she has often been just the greatest teacher for all of us. We've come a very long way. As I was saying, I'll talk a little bit more, but I wanted to get through these photos so you had a sense of this. But for many years, Holly had to use a wheelchair, was protected in her face because of her seizures and the injuries that would happen by falling. And but we've come a long way. And Holly, in her typing recently, well, not recently, one of the very first full sentences that Holly typed as a young 20-something after being silent for 22 years, when she was finally able to put words together to form a sentence, this is what she typed: "I want a platform to teach about love." So we now have a nonprofit called Holly Speaks Up. And as I mentioned, Holly and I go around the country speaking around messages of resilience and love and inclusion. And as I close this out, I just want to show this is Holly and I again, just living our purpose is how we believe that God brought us together to have a life of purpose and teaching about love. And this is my other daughter, Emily, who this picture was taken of my mom just about 3 months before she passed away. And it just captures my mom's personality. And although we're serious about our work around teaching about love and inclusion and acceptance, we have a lot of fun with it, and we love each other so deeply. So I'll stop sharing now, and wanted to just get those pictures out so that you could have a sense of the legacy and where Holly and I come from and what anchors us in our mother-daughter duo of sharing a life of purpose.
Just amazing. Your family, your family never ceased to amaze me, just in numbers. I mean, just looking at the numbers as an only child, but then to hear your story with Holly. And I do want to give anyone who's on this podcast tonight, if you have questions or want to talk to Eileen or anything, please feel free to do so. This is the time. I've known her since, I don't know, when I first moved there. It's got to be 25 years. And I never fail to feel like I'm part of their family somehow. They're just a remarkable group of people. And I have always taken it back to which would have been Eileen's grandparents, Mary and Clem, and the way they raised the 10 kids that they had. And they were the family for everybody in the community, would go to their house and hang out with their kids. And so, I don't know, Mother's Day, I don't think you get a better celebration to make than these kind of stories.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Anything you want to add to the conversation?
This is Mary Jo, and I just want to quickly say that you, Christina, have been such a light for our family because you have the things that you did for our visits to the farm were just like so amazing. And so right back at you about just the way that you find what's special. And you just, you're automatically one of the family, the way that you honored us and it was amazing. The farm was dressed to the nines when we came to visit the last time
Oh, we
in
had so much
2000,
fun. It
in
was so much fun. But
2015.
for an only child,
Yeah,
you are like a Disneyland to me.
yeah, yeah.
It's so awesome to be with your family. So, and thank you for your kind words.
Well, and just on behalf of women, I wanted to make a note. You probably couldn't see it in that article, but when my grandmother won was voted the Mother of the Year, she was listed in everything as Mrs. Clem Crow.
Not Mary.
So she didn't get it. I mean, I'm sure it said it in the article, but like underneath her picture, it was Mrs. Clem F. Crow.
Right.
We have
Well,
come a long way.
yeah, we have come a long way. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for this conversation tonight. And I want to go back to Eileen and Holly before we move on. Thank you for sharing your story about what it is to mother a woman like Holly. I can't imagine that it's easy. I can't imagine what it felt like when you first started to find out that she had these challenges, and then how you brought her to a life where she has fulfillment, which I can't imagine that even the doctors gave you encouragement that that could happen. So the relationship that you have with your daughter and the kind of mother that you are is remarkable. And I just wanted everyone to have that opportunity to hear from your own words what you do with your daughter and why you do it.
Thank you. I think Holly has something to say.
Oh, good.
Or something. Not sure.
Oh,
See if she
she's
can do that.
leaving. She's leaving.
Something to say.
That's okay.
Yeah, so Holly, we supported her to write a book called that she titled "Just Because I Can't Talk Doesn't Mean I Don't Have Anything to Say." And she's now working on her second book, which we just this week got the manuscript. She has a ghostwriter and she has a literary agent who will hopefully, we hope to get it published by the fall. So feel free to follow Holly's story on Holly Speaks Up, which is right now just on Facebook. So
Remarkable.
yeah.
Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Anything special planned? Do you know, does the family plan things or no?
We are shifting now that Mom's been gone for 2 years, and Holly and I both have birthdays next week, and then of course Mother's Day. So we all do kind of our own separate things, but we're always together in some way. We have a cabin up in the mountains, so that's what our family will be doing.
Well, please give everyone my love and please hang around. There's another wonderful woman coming up right now. So thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mary Jo, for coming as well. So I know I let her in. I don't see her, but I know she's here. So our third segment is women who mother the community. I thought it was really important. I'm not discounting the importance of the title of mother and what it means to be a mother, but I also think that there are women in the world who do take care of their communities and people that aren't even related to them, and they are natural mothers, and they do things for us that because for no other reason than they have to, they want to, they have that much love within them. And Dina Santos,
Dinora.
call you Dinora D. I've seen you.
Yeah, you can call me D. Everyone call me D.
Okay, so Dee
Yes.
Santos is with us tonight, and I'm just going to give you a little thumbnail of who she is. We've never met before, so it's good to see you. Thank you for coming
Yeah,
tonight.
me too.
You are a
Me too.
single mother originally from Puerto Rico.
Yes,
You've been in this Buffalo school systems for almost 30 years,
yes,
but what really makes you stand out is your dedication to the Bell Center, which is a center in Buffalo. It's a resilient asset of our Western New York community that provides comprehensive services to Buffalo's Lower West Side and offering innovative educational, social, and community building services for children, youth, senior citizens, and families.
yes.
That in and of itself is she's like the essence, the heartbeat of the Bell Center. But then on top of that, for children, that are not hers in any way, but she treats them like they are, she's also completely engaged in helping our veterans. So
Yes.
I'm amazed at you. I honor you, and I have so many things I want to ask you about, but I have to tell you that what I found so compelling was a description that someone gave about you, and they described you as selfless in your approach to helping people. with
Yes.
your heart that is huge. What do you think when you hear someone describe you that way?
It's sometimes it's like I don't mean it like that because when I do work with the community, I like to do it.
Right?
It's like come from me. And so my mom was like that. My mom helped everybody. So and then for me helping another one is comes from inside of me. I go in sometimes I don't even notice that I do it.
When's the first time you remember having that feeling of uh, someone's in need, I need to help them? Like I know you were raised that way, but as a mother, you came here from Puerto Rico, you've got kids of your own, you're a single mom. Everything about that sounds like a struggle to me.
Yeah.
A
The
lot of
thing
hard
is
work.
I came to Buffalo, I was single, I was pregnant, and I got 3 kids.
Oh my goodness.
So when I came here, my sister was here. So then suddenly my sister said that she was leaving. So I stayed here by myself with 3 kids. And then I noticed the community was helping me a lot. My first kids, the coats for my kids, they were donated. So a lady went to my house with the coats. So everywhere that I used to go, people help me. And then I see like the community, like I stay here. I'm the person that I am today in Buffalo because the community, like it helped me. I always have food in my house. People sometimes even bring me food for my kids.
Amazing. That is amazing.
So I think it's time for me to give back what they gave me.
Well, I'd say you're giving it back plus some from everything I hear about you. But people
Yes.
describe you as a mother to our community. And so why has that clearly mattered to you so much? I mean, I understand it's, you've got to pay back, but there comes a point in a time when, I mean, you're so much more than paying it back. You are now establishing ways for people to see what needs to be done in this community and then finding ways to do it, right?
Yeah,
Like you could,
exactly.
so
So
why is it so important to you?
what I feel good because what that made me see is they trust me.
Hmm.
People trust me. So that made me feel good when they call me and tell me I need something. Or can you help me with this? It's because I feel like they trust me. I was there for them and I was gonna be there. And then it's made me feel like I was leading like something nice. I was doing like good things. And then no matter what, I didn't see it myself, but other people see me doing it. Yeah. So
You don't care. It's not about recognition. I mean,
no. No, it's because right now the veterans, my son is a veteran. So everything got a little in behind. My son is a veteran. So my son lives in California. He's a police officer
mm,
over there. So I was always involved around veterans about all those people. So because I was working in the Bell Center, they were going there. And then I know a lot about computers. So they used to have oh, I need a flyer. I was like, okay, I'll do it for you. That's how I got involved with them. And the way they treat, they're good. I like it because if they need something, the veterans will jump and help people. They got a good heart. And then right now we have to support them because we're here for them. They were fighting for us. Yes.
so if someone were to come to you and say, D, you do so much. I don't do anything. What should I do? How
Oh,
can people help?
I got people tell me that a lot. A lot of people tell me, you're doing too much. Um, you never don't know how to say no. I got that a lot. But the thing is, people don't know that I do it because I like doing that. It comes from me. It's not. I don't feel like I'm mandated doing it. That's why my name is volunteer. All of them because when I cannot do it, I cannot do it. But if I'm alive, if I got health, and I'm doing nothing at home because I live by myself, so might as well go and give a little bit of me to other people.
So if somebody said to you, what's the best way for me to help the community? Like, I like what you do. I want to do it too. What would you tell somebody to go out and do in their own community?
The first thing when somebody asks me is a lot. Sometimes I invite them to one of my events. Sometimes I told them to come. It's like, come, I can teach you. I can show you how to do it. Or come and meet my people, like meet them, because it's not only with them. I work with Pucho Olivencia Center too. So we every year I get 150 families, and then together with Pucho Olivencia, we give toys to all of them.
Wow.
Yes. So it's, I don't know, like right now I got my granddaughter. Sometimes they go with me to places. So I don't know. I don't know what to say because it's hard to explain because I'm that person.
You're
That's
just
who I
that.
am. I like to give. So when somebody asks me, sometimes it's hard to answer because I don't have no word. I'm gonna do it no matter what.
Do you ever say no?
You know what? I did say no, but I find a replacement.
So it's no with an asterisk. I'm not doing it, but I'll find somebody who
I'll
will.
find. I'll do my best to find someone. I don't know. That was God gave me that gift, so it
Do
doesn't
your
bother me doing
do
it.
your kids, did your kids ever mind that you did so much for other people?
No, because I have one of my daughter now. She's doing two of my daughter doing it. All my daughters are doing it too.
You're something
Yes,
else.
I have one of my daughter, the middle one, Minta. She worked with Casimiro in the Hispanic Heritage Council. And then I have my other daughter that she do photography in the side. She do her things. So they
Wow.
all do something.
What are you doing for Mother's Day?
I'm gonna spend it with my daughters.
And will they cook or are you cooking?
I think we everybody brings something.
Everybody brings something. Well,
Yeah,
that
because
sounds like a
I
great
have
way.
3 daughters. I have 7 granddaughters
Wow.
and 1 grandson.
That poor kid. All
Yes,
those women.
I know. Yeah, no, we meet together, and then we everybody brings something together.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you because, like
Yes.
I said, we've never met. You got a phone call and said, call this woman and go and talk on her podcast. And you were more than well happy to do it. So thank you, Dee. It's so nice to meet you.
No, you're
And I hope we can
welcome.
meet
Me
in
too.
person. Yeah. And have a great Mother's Day.
And you too, sweetheart.
Thank you. I will. So
Yes.
everybody, that hour went, I don't even know where it went. So I just have to say thank you. I can't tell you how full my heart feels right now listening to all you women share your stories. And what I'd like to do is we asked 3 questions at the beginning. If anybody would like to add their part to this, because a lot of you are mothers, and if you're not, were raised by a mother. So the questions were, let's see. If you are a mother, what's the biggest challenge or greatest joy? Who taught you how to be a mother, how to mother people? And what's a key
Mhm.
life lesson you learned from your mother or a woman who supported you? Anybody want to answer those questions, any of those questions before we've got a few minutes yet? And if anybody felt like answering, it'd be great to hear your voice.
Christina, Holly looks like she wants to say something. Would that be okay? Can we
Yeah,
respond?
absolutely. Absolutely, Holly.
I want to say that women are strong. I want to
And
say that women are strong.
yes, we are. Thank you, Holly. And you are strong and your mom is strong. So thank you for that. Anyone else? A key life lesson learned from your mom or who taught you how to mother? I'm going to say that my daughter probably taught me as much about being a good mom as anybody. And I really believe that she was a gift, that God knew what he was doing when he sent her to me because she really changed my life. And I'm grateful for her and my son as well. But there is definitely a definite connection between moms and daughters. Well,
Christina,
yes.
it's me. And I just wanted to say my mother was not as prominent a woman in my life as my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and so she was the rock, the backbone of our family. And she taught me that, and she was very quiet, very, very quiet woman, but she taught me so much about patience and acceptance and cooking.
Yeah.
Because Gracie taught me that you feed the people that you love. And I still do that today.
You do.
Yeah. And I loved what everyone had to say. It was amazing to me. And I went into a whole interesting conversation with myself about my own being a mom, And as you well know, I've been a career mother. And so I raised a musician, but I certainly did not allocate the time that Preeti did, right? It was interesting hearing her talk about that. But all
And
in all,
she had no, she wasn't angry about it. She didn't resent
oh
it.
no, no,
She
absolutely
celebrated it.
not. Yes, she did. She did. And that was a beautiful, I learned so much tonight. And it was a beautiful, beautiful night. Thank
It
you so
was.
much.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I just think to all
I'll
the
be
moms.
thinking about this hour for a long time.
I'm so glad, Kathy. Thank you. Anybody else want to add?
Oh, yes, Marge. Marge
I'll
is
say
Hi,
here.
something.
Marge.
Hey,
Marge.
how are you?
Good.
I
How are
am not
you?
a, I am well, thank you. I am not a mother, but I learned much from my mother about passion or what's the word that I want? The passion, caring for people. So I
Mm.
have nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews and she learned that from her mother. She was a very compassionate, that's the word I want, very compassionate person. So I am just so grateful for my parents, and I'm grateful that my nieces and nephews, right? Sometimes they'll mistake and call me grandma, and there's no
Oh,
greater tribute to me than for them to say something like that to me. So you don't have to be a mother to have appreciated this conversation you've had tonight, and
I'm
we've had
so
tonight.
glad.
And thanks for sharing that,
Thank you for coming and
all of you.
listening. I think it's
Yeah,
so important that we honor women. And it's not, the act of giving birth doesn't necessarily make you a mother.
no, yeah,
And that was
absolutely.
part of the conversation tonight that I wanted to be sure we had, and to talk to Dee, who, mothers our community, and not just children, but veterans as well. We're indispensable. We are special.
But one for president.
Yeah.
Next time, one for
Yeah,
president.
right. Oh, that's not, we're not even, we're cutting that right out of the whole deal. Okay, anyone else that would like to add, please? I'd be happy to hear your voice about being a mother, or who taught you, or just anything about Mother's Day in general.
Well, I can say, my mom is gone now. She's no longer with us, but she probably was the most even-tempered person I had ever met. However, even though she never raised her voice and she always spoke in a calm tone, you knew exactly what she meant. You knew when to be afraid. You knew when she was pleased with something. She wasn't a big laugher either. She was just, very, it's even tempered. But she had the ability to tell people exactly how she feels, good, bad, and otherwise, without, without any animation, I could say. So I believe she gave me a gift of being able to tell people off without raising my voice.
That's awesome. What a
Is
wonderful testament.
it?
Did you ever tell her that? I mean, did she know that?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever spoke that.
I think so many times we miss those opportunities, right?
She is pretty amazing though, and a force in the community. She was a hard worker. I think I get my work ethic from her. She always had jobs, and then side things that she did, and entrepreneurial things that she did. Active in church, active in the community. She was always the president of whatever organization she joined. So I kind of grew up with that. And then she was an incredible mother. She cooked every day. And Sundays were almost like holiday meals. People just knew to come to our house and grab a plate. So she was an incredible woman. I'm not half of what she is, and you don't need to be anything but half of what she was to be a great person. So I appreciate my mom so much.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Everybody, you're just filling me right up. I was so tired when I got ready to do this podcast tonight, and I just feel like I could stay up for 3 days now. I'm so filled with joy and excitement over all the things that everyone has shared tonight. Really meaningful conversation. So thank you for that. More? Is there more? Anybody? Okay, well, I just want to thank you. I'm so glad you were here tonight. I'm so glad we had this opportunity to celebrate the many faces of mothers. And if you are a mother, I wish you a wonderful Mother's Day on Sunday. If you are not a mother, I would hazard to guess that if you're on this podcast, you probably do things for people that help them in ways that mothers would. And so thank you for that. And I hope that something nice happens for you on Mother's Day as well. So next week, I believe we're going to celebrate beer. Talk about a U-turn. So look for the podcast promos this week, next week when we get around to it. And thank you so much for being here in the Heart and Soul podcast, a space where words, people, and stories matter. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Take care. Talk soon.